I'm Michael Walker. Like my wife and I have been the directors of the Klein, Texas Family History Center. So the thought is, why should we go to the Family History Center? We see Family Search, we see Ancestry, we see all of these abilities that we have that we can do in our own homes. So the question is, why go to the Family History Center? So to start with, what's available in the Family History Center so that then a person can decide whether it's worth their while to come. And then we have to ask what's available and what are the treasures. So let's start with what's in the Family History Center. In the Family History Center is going to be some hardware, software. I'm not going to get into that. The basic thing I'll tell you is in the Family History Center, every single one is going to be designed differently because they're designed by their local leaders, and therefore microfilm, microfiche readers are not going to be in every Family History Center. Scanners will not be in every Family History Center. Projectors will not be in every Family History Center. So I've listed some things that are in our Family History Center, but then on a couple of them I had to put varies by center. We have 12 computers in ours, plus we have 9 desks that people can sit at. So I have room to house about 25 people, not necessarily adults, but I've had 52 youth in there, 58 youth in there, but I would never think about having that many adults in there. But every Family History Center is designed to be different, but what's going to be in every Family History Center is going to be a computer, and that computer is going to be hooked up to Salt Lake City. In addition to the equipment is the people and the programs. If you think of this as being a classroom or a workshop, there's workshops, there's programs, there's volunteers, there's a library atmosphere, and again, every center is different. But on top of that, there's staff, research specialties. Every person that volunteers in a Family History Center has some form of desire to be there to assist the patron as the patron's coming into the Family History Center. Every person that volunteers their time has some kind of ability in family search and helping people understand how they can find their ancestors. But in the Family History Center, if you were to go out and buy a lot of programs to help you in family search, these programs that are listed here, and I'm not necessarily going to name them one by one here, but American Ancestors, Ancestry, Family Search, of course, is there, Find My Past. These are all free and available in the Family History Center. And then, of course, we have some more, Pozilla, Paper Trail, Ken Point. So let's talk about what each one of these are and why they might be important. And I'm going to move my screen to the other side. So we have 19th century British newspapers. So if you think about it, there's a lot of people in the United States as they look back towards their ancestors. Their ancestors come from over in Europe, British newspapers. So here's 2 million pages between 18 and 1900, all available just to the search. Now here's the second program that's available free of charge in the Family History Center. And this is the Alexander Street Press. Now it says here specifically American Civil War collections, but I actually got, I recently got on this just to make sure my slideshow was up to date. And they have added in lots of things going on with women and how women have helped make history of the United States and how they fit into the women of the United States, voting and a lot of different things. So even though it says American Civil War, there's also going to be a lot in this about women's rights and women's movements and how certain women have done to make our country the way it is today. And by that being said, some of those people are guaranteed to be ancestors that people are looking for information about. American Ancestors is 1.4 billion records scanning 22 countries. Ancestry is over 10 million people in the Ancestry DNA database alone. And this slide specifically is about 1.5 years old. So I don't know what the newest rate is. However, when I go into Ancestry, it still says over 10 million people. So I leave this slide alone. But basically, Ancestry I'm not going to discuss because I think everyone knows what Ancestry is. A sister, not a sister, but a like company to Family Search. Archive is the Swedish ancestors. If anyone comes specifically just from Sweden, here's a place to go that actually specializes in a certain country, and that's Sweden. Family Search is a nonprofit organization designed to bring families together. FamNet is a little bit like ArchiveDiv for Sweden. This is for New Zealand, and it's designed to tie the trees and tie the families together because they're really trying to get rid of duplication. Find My Past is a company like Family Search and Ancestry, and they have over 2 billion historical records. I've looked that up and it still says over 2 billion. But just to give you a food for thought, 1.57 million records come available every day on Family Search. That means, I can't see my clock right now, so if it's 7:15 right now, by 7:15 tomorrow night, 1.7 million approximate records will be brought onto Family Search in that 24-hour period. And then if we think of Ancestry and we think of Find My Past, both of them saying billions of records, they bring about the same number into their databases. So that's 4.5 million records a day, just the 3 big companies that come available.
But
now,
what can I find on Find My Past that I won't see on Ancestry or Family Search?
Okay, that's a really good question. In fact, somebody came to Family History Center yesterday morning and asked me the same exact question. Michael, why do I want Family Search? And what can I use Ancestry for, Find My Past for, or any of the other organizations? I'm going to answer the question without answering the question specifically because I'm going to answer it in generals. If you think of it like this, there's a possibility that all of the big organizations, Find My Past, Ancestry, and Family Search, I'll just say the 3, even though there's more, have the same census records. But that's not necessarily true. There could be a census record that's missing from one of the 3. But then you get into death records, birth records, you get into court records, you get into divorce records, you get into obituaries, you get into Civil War records, you get into a lot of other different types of records. And as you're dealing with other records, it depends on who has the contract and how the contracts are written on what is specifically shown. When the records are copied, when the photographs are taken, a contract is signed before access to those records are provided. So since a contract is signed, whatever that contract says is what that record's going to be available for. And sometimes that record's going to say Family Search only. Sometimes that record's going to say in the genealogical library only. Sometimes that record's going to say members of the Church of Jesus Christ only. And in that case, Ancestry and Find My Past won't get those records. So I don't know if I didn't answer your question per se. And that's because there's really not a complete factual short answer. It's because there's so many different caveats of who has what. Prior to the pandemic, there were 500 camera crews going worldwide on a daily basis, signing contracts and taking photos of records and making those records available to Family Search. Ancestry is doing the same thing. I don't know how many camera crews they have. Finding My Past is doing the same thing. I don't know how many families, how many camera crews they have. So they're only going to make their records available to their program. Someone comes to me, and I'm just going to say it right here. Michael, what's the best organization? What's the best program to do my family search, to find my family on? Family Search, Ancestry, Find My Past. My answer will 100% of the time be yes. Well, Michael, which one's best? Yes. You decide. That's a question that I won't answer for someone. Everybody's got to figure out that for themselves. But each organization, each of these paid organizations and the family. So Fold 3 is just military. Genealogical is other records that are available, indexed records. MyHeritage is another company that I shouldn't have used, just Find My Past, because MyHeritage is just like that. You'll notice they also have billions of records, so it's not fair to any of the programs. When I mention only the 3, I forget MyHeritage because I don't say that word as often, but they're here too. A newspaper archive. This is a different newspaper archive than the British newspapers. This is an addendum to Ancestry, and I think it's $50 a year, and $50 a year gives you access to their records, or in a family history center, it's free. I've been looking for an obituary of my wife's great-grandfather for 39 and a half years since I got married, and I've never been able to find it. About 3 years ago, we were having training a person was giving training on this subject specifically. So while they were giving training, I was on the computer trying to find the obituary, and I couldn't find it. So about 5 months ago, I was talking to the person that gave the training. I said, can you help me find this? You gave training 4.5 years ago, and I couldn't find it. Can you help me? And within about 5 seconds, we had not an obituary, but an article about him that I had never seen before. We still can't find the obituary, but it was pretty nice. And it was all through Newspaper Archive. So now I have a copy of something that I didn't have previous, that I had looked for 4.5 years ago, and I found very easily as she was walking me through it. Paper trail is the people going across country, Oregon Trail, pioneers. This is routes, this is Indian encounters, this is how they came. This is lots of information, but this is details, and this is diaries. And even though this might not pertain to the majority of the people, if it has your ancestor, it's a wonderful place to go to find more information. Pozilla is a way to take your family tree in Family Search and make it a little bit different, see it differently. It helps you work, and it helps you find things in a different way than Family Search does. Our specific Family History Center has a Facebook page. What I found is there's lots of family history centers that have Facebook pages, and there's lots that don't. There's no difference between the Family History Center that has them or the Family History Center that doesn't. But if your Family History Center has one, great. And if it doesn't, that's great too. But if it does, it's another place that you can go to get information when you're at home and you need a little bit of help. Wiki Page. Not all family history centers have a Wiki Page, but a Wiki Page is a how-to, what I do type of page. In the olden days, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I don't remember exactly when they stopped making the last encyclopedia, but basically Wiki has taken over for encyclopedias. So since Wiki has taken over for encyclopedias, there's going to be family history centers that actually have a Wiki page, and here is our Wiki page. I'm going to show it to you. Okay, if you come to the Family History Center, You're getting well over $1,000 worth of computer programs for absolutely free. Those computer programs come with the very best thing in my mind, and that's the volunteer that's there to help you use those programs to help tie you to your ancestors. So if you think about that, it's the expertise and the willingness of our volunteers is, to me, by far the best thing that's available in the Family History Center, even more than the amount of money that you can save by using the Family History. Here's our Facebook page, and on our Facebook page, we have questions, we have answers, we have discussions. Any newspaper article we find, we post it, and it also announces the upcoming training. Here's our Wiki page. Our Wiki page is very extensive. We have Social Security records, newspaper obituaries, all of these BYU Western State marriage records. We have lots and lots of things that are here that are very difficult to find else. Why come to the Wiki page? Why come to Family Search? Why come to Ancestry? And the answers are going to be in to find the things that are more obscure or a little harder to find, because you're going to find an expert through Facebook, through help organizations, through these wikis, through these things, that's going to help you find answers to your questions. The majority of our patrons, the majority of the people that we're going to serve, are going to want to find their ancestors. Some of them will only want to do the easy stuff, because the easy stuff is a very, very good way to get started. Our Family History Center is open to the world. I don't care where you are. We have training every Thursday night via Zoom.